The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
In the Catalina foothills just outside of Tucson, Arizona, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie lives alone, but she does have family nearby. Her daughter Annie and her husband live about 10 minutes away. Nancy's other daughter is Savannah Guthrie, host of the Today Show and former Court TV correspondent. On Saturday, January 31st, Nancy was dropped off at home by her son-in-law at about 9:30 at night at her home. Between that time and Sunday morning, when she was supposed to go to church, something terrible happened inside her home. Nancy's family was alerted by folks at the church that Nancy wasn't there. Then when the family went to Nancy's home, they couldn't find her. They searched for about an hour, and by 11 a.m., they called police. And almost immediately, it was clear to investigators that a crime had been committed, that Nancy had been taken forcefully from her home. Blood was found outside the front door. So while all this began as a missing person search, the homicide squad was quickly brought in to work the case. Meanwhile, Savannah and the rest of Nancy's family are asking for tips, they're asking for help, and they're asking for a lot of prayers. Tonight, we have all the latest as we are live from Tucson as the search for Nancy Guthrie continues. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments and our continuing coverage of the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Now, one thing that we do know about Nancy Guthrie and her daughter Savannah is that they had a very close relationship. And we know that from the appearances on the Today Show, everything that Savannah has ever said or ever written about her mom and her relationship. Her dad passed away when she was a senior in high school. But I also know about it because I worked with Savannah when she was a correspondent for Court TV. She would talk about her mom. And when she would talk about her mom, you can tell. You can tell when someone has that kind of a relationship. And that's what they had. And it's very, very apparent. But in a case like this, where someone is taken from their home the way that Nancy Guthrie was, and you begin the investigation, like in every other case, you have to start in and work out, right? In any disappearance or abduction or murder case, you have to understand what is happening in the life of the victim here. So you begin with those who are closest to Nancy Guthrie, and then you have to work your way out. Who had contact with her? Who was in her life day in and day out? Who was in that home, which is very remote? It's set back from the street. It's in a neighborhood that gets very dark at night. There are no street lights. They're in the Catalina foothills where all this is taking place. So it's obvious that the investigation has to start there and work its way out. And you've got to understand, okay, well, this person, do they have an alibi? Are they cleared? And work your way out. And that obviously in this case would include family members. Now, today, a social media wave, I mean, just erupting, talking about this story. Now, there's two ways to look at that social media wave. On the one hand, it's a good thing because it puts the story in the news. If you're a family member and your mom is missing, you want her face and her likeness out there. You want people talking about it, thinking about it, because if they see something, it may register and it may help find Nancy. But there's a flip side, a downside of that. Is that, like I said, people know the investigation starts with those closest, so those same family members who would want the attention on the case also become part of the attention of the case. And people start looking at them suspiciously. And there was a lot of chatter today on social media about that. And part of that reason is that one of the family members, or two of the family members, named in reports. The son-in-law, Annie is the daughter, her husband, named in a report as a suspect. Now, Court TV has not gotten that information. That information, comes from someone else's reporting, but it sets off the attention, which was there already, but now all of a sudden is what's going on in the investigation? Who are they looking at? Well, they have to look at the people who are closest. And in the case here, you're talking about the people who day in and day out have the most contact with Nancy and were the last people to be known to be with Nancy, which was his daughter, her daughter, and her son-in-law. So whether or not he is a suspect, he's obviously someone who has to be investigated like anyone else who would have contact with the home or with Nancy herself, while at the same time they can be victims looking for their mom. Let's do this, because tonight there is a vigil taking place, and we've got live video from that prayer vigil for Nancy Guthrie. My understanding, capacity of 350 people. There's already a couple hundred that have shown up. We're going to get a live report from that vigil in a moment. But right now, I want to head live to Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas, who is live outside of Annie Guthrie's home in Tucson, Arizona. Cody, great to see you. What, if anything, is going on at Annie Guthrie's home tonight?
Yeah, Vinnie, for as big of a story as this is in that social media wave you were just mentioning, it's kind of quieter than one would expect. There's a light media presence, only us and maybe 5 more news outlets here out in front of Annie Guthrie's home. No police presence whatsoever. But one thing to note, Vinnie, there is a car in the driveway. Unclear if anyone is inside, but as you look behind me here, you do see a white car in the driveway at this house. But another thing to note, Vinnie, earlier today, our affiliate got this footage of what's believed to be Annie Guthrie and her brother, Cameron. We do know Cameron arrived here in Tucson, Arizona today from Vermont, Vinnie.
So it looks like this is the staging place, right? Annie's home, where I guess the siblings would get together, Savannah, Annie, the brother Cameron, and anyone else who's associated with the family. Now, what have you heard? What have we found out about Savannah's sister, Annie, Nancy's daughter, and the son-in-law, her husband, Tommaso?
Yeah, Vinnie, so we've seen plenty of headlines here recently about Annie and Tommaso. Some headlines saying Annie was the last person to see Nancy Guthrie alive on Saturday night. Some headlines saying Tommaso was the last person seeing Nancy alive Saturday night. Other reports saying the FBI raided this house here behind me, Annie and Tommaso's house, and other reports calling the son-in-law Tommaso a, quote, prime suspect. But Vinnie, the Pima County Sheriff's Office released this statement today regarding some of those allegations circulating online. They said, quote, at this point, investigators have not identified a suspect or person of interest in this case. Detectives continue to speak with anyone who may have had contact with Mrs. Guthrie. Detectives are working closely with the Guthrie family. While we appreciate the public's concern, the sharing of unverified accusations or false information is irresponsible and does not assist the investigation. No suspect or person of interest has been identified at this time. And Vinnie, as far as Annie and Tommaso, the married couple here, we've learned that from some reports that Annie Guthrie is a writer. She's also a poet and jewelry maker, and her husband, Tommaso Cioni, is a middle school teacher. Now, Vinnie, we've also learned that Annie Guthrie and Tommaso live here, of course, in this house behind me. Footage that we're showing you right now. This house is just 4 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's home here in Tucson. And online records indicate, Vinnie, that they moved into this $650,000 house after selling a $379,000 property last year.
Okay, and it would be obvious that they would have a big role in Nancy's life, being just 4 miles away. You've got an elderly parent. You're going to keep an eye on her. You're going to have a lot of interaction with her. So it's obviously people you would want to speak to as investigators. And the sheriff saying no one's been identified as a suspect. So they're not going on the record with anyone as a suspect right now. Okay, any other updates from the sheriff, Cody?
Well, Vinnie, the sheriff did announce that he is not taking any one-on-one interviews with media today or the rest of the week, but they will be providing a media briefing tomorrow. And this evening, the sheriff's office provided an update along with some additional information that goes as follows, Vinnie. So the media briefing tomorrow, Thursday, February 5th, that is at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Eastern, and additional answers to questions that people may have. As far as suspects, they say at this point, investigators have not identified a person or persons of interest or suspects in this case. Nancy Guthrie was last seen around 9:45 p.m. on January 31st when she was dropped off at home by family after having dinner with them. Now, this is interesting, Vinnie. On January 4th, 2026, Pima County Sheriff's Department received a report of a possible trespassing in the 6700 block of North Longfellow Drive, which is nearby. This case, in addition to all other cases within a close radius to the Guthrie home, are being reviewed. Now, they also say PCSD is working in conjunction with the FBI. Detectives with multiple PCSD units are assisting in this investigation and often wear different polos based on their respective units. Now, they want the public to keep in mind, this does not mean an acronym or unit name on the shirt that they wear is indicative of a particular crime associated with this case. And Vinnie, as far as the Guthrie home, Nancy Guthrie's home, they say while our detectives have turned the home over to the Guthrie family, this is still an active investigation, so you may see some activity taking place outside of that home. So, Vinnie, we're still searching for answers here. Things are still going on. Things are still developing here in the Tucson area here in Arizona.
All right, Cody Thomas on the ground in Arizona. You hear anything during the course of the program, we're going to put you back on. Let us know. Thanks so much, Cody. Let's bring in our think tank live in studio tonight. Criminal defense attorney, former assistant state attorney, Miami-Dade County, and former assistant DA in Atlanta, Darrell Cohen, with us, along with criminal defense attorney, law professor Meg Strickler, and criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer, the man behind the glasses. Thank you so much. Great to see everyone tonight. So let's start with the family, right? This is a difficult time for them, obviously, but the word suspect, if you actually publicly name someone a suspect, that changes the game.
Look at how fast the world jumped to basically convict this son-in-law. You know, if you jump on some of the more salacious social media, literally people, oh, it's him. I know it's him. He's definitely going to be. And that's what the sheriff is properly coming out and trying to prevent.
But how about for law enforcement? If you name someone a suspect, then all of a sudden the way you treat them changes drastically as well.
They haven't done that yet, though. So we don't want to say we think. I mean, we all have lots of theories of what could have occurred. But like you said at the beginning of the show, they're just doing from here, and they're kind of working out, and they're going to exclude certain people. But of course, you look at the person who last saw.
You have to. That
yes.
person has a lot of information. But Darrell, from your perspective, is it possible they have a suspect, aren't naming them publicly for particular reasons?
I think that law enforcement is keeping everything close to the vest for that very reason. The less they say, the more someone may, whoever he or she is, or they, may come out and make a mistake, a major mistake. And I'm going to predict that within 48 hours, we're going to have this case with a defendant. Not just a suspect, but a defendant.
Within 48 hours.
Well, now.
Right now, nothing. So for the family, they're in a very unique position, right? Like Cody's outside the house. You've got 3 siblings, 2 siblings who were not in Arizona, but obviously Annie and her husband were the last ones. They had dinner with Nancy and were the ones who brought her back to her home where she lives by herself. For the family, should they be speaking and cooperating?
Well, they are.
Yeah,
But I'm saying, should they?
If they didn't do anything wrong, then you tell the truth and let it fall where it may. But my concern is that one or more of these family members may very well be involved.
So let me ask you, because to me this is a big deal, because I've had attorneys on who say even if you're innocent and you're being lawyer up, shut up.
Disagree.
Yeah.
But I've had people say that.
And for justifiable reasons, because we don't know.
Because you're skeptical of police.
Well, not just skeptical of the police. We've all seen incredibly unfair allegations get made against innocent people, that you can craft these allegations and really ruin somebody's life. There's also the fact of if there is a division within this family and it's going to become finger pointing, maybe there's prior bad issues, prior problems, then you might tell your client, hey, skip the family gatherings until we know a little bit more. Yeah. That didn't happen because they're all in the same location and makes me believe that all of the kids have basically said, it ain't one of us.
Correct.
Right.
I think that message has been sent.
Yeah.
I want to look at it this way. if you are, in fact, investigators in this case, how much do you share with the family? How much do you not share with the family? Is the family getting more information than all the folks who are so worried about Nancy, who are showing up at the vigil, and the public and the media is getting?
I think that...
Are they getting the same?
I think law enforcement's going to say to the family, take a chill pill. We're doing everything we can. We will continue to investigate until such time as we have solved this crime. I don't think the family is getting any more information than you or any other member of the press or any member of the public.
And arguably, the family, being sophisticated and having some assets, should have a lawyer be the liaison between the family members and law enforcement, just in order to create the proper protectionary buffer. You don't want to expose these family members to aggressive questioning or suspect inquiries, because even with the best of intentions, you can create some bad looks that can then be used against you.
Should we be surprised that we haven't heard the family speak?
Well, I think they're staying quiet as well, because if they know something, they're staying quiet. If they don't know something, they're staying quiet. They're just taking care of themselves right now. They're nurturing themselves. But I think they know more than what is in the news, 100%.
And law enforcement's not going to share all the info. No, that ruins the investigation.
Right. Especially if they believe that one or more family members is involved.
So does it change the equation? Because Savannah, obviously, celebrity, A-lister, right, in our business. The fact that this case is already getting the attention, does that negate the need for the family? Because I've covered so many of these cases, and sometimes the families are quiet and don't speak, then all of a sudden the case goes away, the search for their loved one dies down. And inevitably what you want if you have a missing loved one is you want it in the news. You take the good with the bad, but the bottom line is you want people to have their eyes open. And awareness. Does the fact that this is Savannah's mom kind of negate that, so there's no need for the family to speak?
If you see something, say something. And the more publicity it gets nationwide, the more people are going to have their eyes on.
But you can't get more, and they haven't said a word.
But that's my point. The more people see, the more they're going to have different opinions, and you're going to have thousands of people saying, I know this, check this, do that. Law enforcement's in a tough position. Darn if they do, darn if they don't, but good when they catch him or her or them.
And hold that thought right there. We've got a lot more to get to, including a live report from the Vigil. Is the family showing up to the Vigil tonight? We'll talk about that, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, Corey Richens was working at Home Depot when she met Eric Richens, a successful businessman in Utah. They fell in love, got married, and started a family with 3 little boys. But now Eric is dead and Corey is charged with murder. And the alleged weapon? A drink laced with poison. Can prosecutors prove the case? Tonight, we investigate.
The Court TV podcast will return.
The community coming together in Tucson. It's a prayer vigil for Nancy Guthrie tonight. Where is she? 84 years old, taken from her home in the middle of the night. We're going to head out to Scripps News Group reporter Ashley Holden, who is joining us live from the prayer service tonight. Ashley, great to see you. Thank you so much. What can you tell us about what's happening over at the Vigil right now?
Yeah, so we are just in front of St. Philip's in the Hills Church, and we have watched as hundreds have showed up really within the last 2 hours. I know one of the questions some people asked us as we showed up was, are we going to see the Guthrie family here? Other people have asked us that as well. And we were actually able to find some information posted on the church's website that said they did not expect the family to show up here, and we have not seen a member of the Guthrie family walk inside this church. I was able to go inside. We're not allowed to film inside. There is a live stream of the vigil that's taking place. We can hear the music coming from inside the church. But I was able to see all of those people that have shown up, and I was able to ask, how many people are you expecting or could fill this part of the church? And they said they had room for 350 people. And when I was in there, it wasn't full yet, but that was about an hour ago, and now it's pretty full. They said they were keeping the doors open actually for overflow, so they were anticipating a lot of people coming here. And we were able to talk to people, some of them who didn't know the Guthrie family, some people who knew Savannah well, because if people will remember, obviously Tucson is Savannah's home, but it's also a place where she worked. And the local news community has shown up. Some people who used to work with Savannah actually coming here tonight to hand out hundreds of candles, and we are seeing those as you kind of look inside the door as well, and people just talking about how much they wanted to show up and show support for the family. But I also want to let you know, some people we spoke with said they are on high alert these days as they leave their home. They are looking for anything that could be out of place because their goal is to find Nancy, and they want to help in any way they can. The mood here is pretty somber, people sharing hugs, and obviously people praying. Lots of people mentioning Savannah's faith as well, some telling us that they believe it is her faith that will get her family through this moment.
And do we know if this was the church that Nancy would go to? Because this is really how the entire investigation began, because she didn't show up to church on Sunday, and it was folks at the church apparently who alerted her family that she did not show up. So is this the church, and how far are you from Nancy's home?
We are not far. I don't know the exact distance, but I will tell you, according to the church, this is not where Nancy Guthrie attended service, but there is a family connection with this church here as well. So people feeling this here in the community, and people feeling the urgency as well. But, you know, I've been listening to your show, and others have been urging patience and waiting for all of the details to come out.
Absolutely. Ashley Holden, Scripps News Group in Arizona tonight. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Still with us here, we've got Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, Josh Schiffer in studio. I wanted to show you some video that has come in this case, and I think this is really significant. News Nation's Brian Anton got video today of the crime scene tape going back up at Nancy Guthrie's house. Let's take a look.
They were rolling. So the crime scene tape is going back up outside Nancy Guthrie's house. About a dozen sheriff's deputies and FBI. I think FBI showed up here. There's also a dog, canine. We have our drone up, so I should have better video in a second, but there's another team of officers that came in this van.
Okay, to me this is significant. Why now? We heard the sheriff who had released the home back to the Guthrie family, and that was Monday night. Here we are Wednesday, the tape's going back up, and my understanding is that the search is focused on the outside. You've got the canines.
Huge problem to go back, to have a justification to go back and re-secure a scene. And it makes me worried for the investigation, because in all of these cases where our viewers get the most angry because a certain full-strength case falls apart, where does it fall apart? The investigation. And so that really makes me worried when you see officers come back out. Means they've got new information, something changed. There's a justification for them.
Well, that's the question, right? Is it new? Do you think it's new information or new investigators?
I think we're talking FBI. I think we're talking new investigators that have a greater breadth, more knowledge in the overall picture. And I think that's what happened. But I agree with Josh. Once you remove the crime tape, then all of a sudden there's intrusions upon the property, and there may be stuff that was there before, evidence that was there before that's trampled. There may be new evidence that really has no relevance. It just contaminates the property.
This makes me sad. I'm sad. When I see that, I just think, uh-oh. they got new information, but they're putting the tape up because they found something. Yeah, I agree, this is the scene, it'll be damaged, but there's now something to be found there.
Could it be?
What did they miss?
There's been talk that there were cameras on the property.
The missing ring camera, there were reports on social media of stuff that was observed that if it hadn't been recorded by law enforcement the first go-round, it certainly should have. And I worry about that. We've seen so many cases where material parts of the investigation were provided by the general public. And this started off as a missing person. We get lots of missing person calls. Then it became way more important. I worry about early investigations.
Now, Brian Etten with News Nation also got another video of the entryway of Nancy's house where you can see the possible blood, the missing ring camera that Josh is talking about, and the general disarray. This is the other question I have. Like, that blood is on the front there, right? There's things that look like they're out of place. And obviously, she hadn't shown up to church, and she was missing. There's a period of time. It's been reported about an hour between the time that the family goes to the house, does their own little search, and before they call police. Does that make sense to you? I'm thinking of it two ways. And one way could be, we see blood, oh no, did something happen to mom that you wander, we're gonna find her before we call police? Or do you see things that are broken? Do you think those things were noticed, the missing camera? And if that's the case, if you see the blood, you see a missing camera, and your mom is missing, do you call immediately?
I think you have to say that every situation is different, and the emotion runs so high. Where's mom? Oh my God, there's blood. What am I going to do? Do you or do you not notice the ring camera? I think even I, who I consider to be seasoned, I don't think I would look for the ring camera at that moment. Maybe a few minutes later, but not now.
Yeah, I think also that what's going to be telling is you're hearing that they got there at like 11 and they came to the house. But the video camera, the car that was seized, depends on what kind of car it is, but the car itself might have a black box these days. It'll say when it got to the house. So it'll corroborate, were they actually there an hour? And why? And these are some mysteries we need to answer.
And you can really tell by how the hour is presented. It's either, and then within an hour they called law enforcement, or they waited a whole hour before call. And you can post that.
See how lawyers can spin the same fact in two completely different directions, right?
Well, not only that, we can say it's your birthday, and somebody may or may not believe it.
Exactly.
Is a Vinnie Politan birthday.
All right, all right. The birthday all of a sudden brought everything down. It's amazing. It's amazing. So, with what we're looking at here, there was also the big bombshell from yesterday, which was the ransom letter, right? There's a ransom letter that was received by our parent company, our affiliate out there in Phoenix got it, another station got it, TMZ got it. I haven't heard anyone say it's not legitimate. I haven't heard anyone say that it is legitimate. And here are a few more details about it that we've got up on the screen for you. Let me see if I can find them. I've got to find them. Here we go. We received, Scripps News Tucson received the ransom note referencing Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mother. It makes a specific demand for several $1 million in Bitcoin by Thursday, tomorrow, and threatens to kill her if payment is not received by Monday, which in and of itself is kind of strange, right? It also makes specific reference to 2 pieces of evidence at the crime scene, which we cannot authenticate as legitimate. K-Gun has forwarded the full contents of the note to investigators and authorities. So is the key, and I think the key, right, to the legitimacy or potential legitimacy of this note or message would be whether or not the 2 pieces of evidence at the crime scene are authenticated by sheriff's deputies. The note apparently is from after the crime scene was released. You troubled by that at all?
I'm troubled by everything, but I also know that law enforcement, the authorities must, and I underline the word must, give credibility and credence to that ransom note.
Oh, they have.
And they have,
but they haven't said it one way or the other, whether it's legit or illegit. Does that tell you anything if they haven't said already this is not real.
I think they're taking their time, and they're going to also see. I heard it was.
But you
emailed.
can't take your time. It's Thursday.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. These guys, they want their money. They'll take an extra minute to wait for you to, because they have to figure out how to get to the Bitcoin ATM. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't agree with.
But it depends on the mentality of the alleged kidnappers. You know, if these are some whacked out, drugged out, crazy people, which is on one end of the spectrum, or if they are sophisticated professionals who know what they're doing. Totally different interpretation of a note like that. The important part is take your time, make sure that she remains safe, and don't give away the farm by talking about what the conclusions of law enforcement are. Keep them guessing.
Now, there's two ways, right, to look at this, because you're saying abduction. The sheriff said abduction. It could also be a body removed from a murder scene, right? That's another possibility here. Unfortunately, I mean, we have to deal with what the possibilities are, which gets into what we are looking at here. Are we looking at a case of someone being abducted for a reason, which could be ransom, which could be even more nefarious than that, or
It's domestic. And something happened, they drank too much, and something bad happened, and then they had to deal with the body, and they're like, oh my God, what happened?
And I don't know if anybody's familiar with a little thing then getting compounded as soon as the cover-up and lies start, because it starts with a generic, innocent interaction, an injury or something goes wrong. Next thing you know, you're starting to make up lies, take actions, and start this whole ball of criminality rolling down the hill. That's how you end up accidentally or unintentionally kidnapping and murdering people and saying, I really didn't mean for this to happen that way, but it did.
As they panic, they could easily kill her even if they hadn't before. And I don't like saying that. I don't like thinking that. But if people panic, they do things they would not otherwise do. It has taken on a life of its own. We could not predict the end. We thought we did. We were going to get her. We want the money. Oh my gosh, there's too much evidence. There's too much publicity.
What do you think about the pacemaker ending at 1:30? Like, and their phone not being around?
It was the connection to the Apple Watch.
Okay, so the pacemaker.
If you're going to remove a body or remove a person, you're not going to have the Apple Watch on because you're going to be able to track where they are.
Right, but she left her phone.
And remember, the people...
And her wallet in her car.
We're automatically assuming that the people involved committing this crime are rational, reasonable, decent people who think like we do. I've spoken to enough cracked out, methed out, insane people who commit crimes. Their logic does not work like ours.
Right.
Taking the body and not checking for the Apple... these are the same people that leave driver's licenses and take cars and leave ridiculous evidence. And then you've got, oh my gosh, I did this terrible thing, and one of their buddies goes, well, you know what we need now is a ransom note.
Yeah.
That'll create a new cover-up.
Hold your thoughts. When we come back, Savannah Guthrie has just posted something on Instagram. We'll show you what she posted, some video, as we continue the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
And there is Savannah's mom, Nancy Guthrie, and there they are together. That type of relationship. Sharp as a tack. That's the way she's been described. In every appearance she made on the Today Show, you saw it and you heard it. And there are the two sisters with their mom together. What's going on? Like, why would anyone do this? It doesn't make sense to me. Now, this morning, NBC's Today Show featured some of the moments where Savannah and her mom spoke about their relationship, their faith, and their family. Let's take a look.
The greatest gift my mother gave me was faith and belief in God. It changed my whole life.
After Savannah's dad died, the kids and us, we just gravitated toward one another, don't you think?
I agree 100%. I just want to say thank you for being a great example and for being my mom, not just when I was a little girl, but right to this day. And I will never stop needing you.
Oh, it's an honor and a privilege.
Still with us, Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, Josh Schiffer, and ultimately this is a family tragedy that we're watching unfold in real time.
My prayer is that she's not dead. It's a temporary interlude. My reaction is it's done, and I hope I'm wrong. whoever did this, he or she or they knew more than the average person who would target her. They just knew too much, knew what time of morning to do it. All of this tells me it's somebody close, and I hope I'm wrong.
No, I agree. Knowing that there's cameras that potentially were shattered is really telling, because we don't always know. We might know the Ring camera, that the one that's on the door with the Ring bell, but we don't know where all the cameras are otherwise, because especially when you have a more sophisticated security system, it's not obvious. So I think that's a telling sign. And then also the people that last saw her, of course you look at them.
Yeah, and I'm really trying to just keep an open mind, because obviously it goes first, like Daryl's talking about, to the absolute worst, because that's what we're all afraid of, and we see that all the time. But I remain hopeful that this is a fast recovery and that there's something that brings a little bit of reason to this, because there's nothing more terrifying than the randomness. It's like the Tepes shooting. It's like the others where there's just no warning of forethought. This isn't someone who's hanging around with bad people. No, it came out of nowhere, and that's the terrifying part.
What we know now is what we don't know, and that's what we need to know.
Yeah, and you know, from my perspective, covering a lot of stories like this through the years, and I said this on the first night of our coverage, this is the first time I've covered a story where I know the family, at least one member of the family I know, Savannah, right? So it's a little bit different. You know, a lot of times you get to know them and you wonder, well, what's the real story? What's the real backstory? Well, the real backstory is exactly what you saw there on the Today Show between Savannah and her mom.
Her mom is the perfect example of that baby boomer post-war, that my mom, I think they're 2 years apart in birth. And it's these wonderful women that are now roughly in their late 70s, early 80s, that saw so much of our world and have brought us this far and been such inspirations, watching the women's movement, watching the civil rights movement. They're so important to our community. That's what makes us even more terrifying. She's led a meaningful life, raised good kids, and now this mystery, just, it's infuriating and frightening.
One additional thought. I have a great fear that this case could go further than just this case. Copycats abound, and I'm fearful if law enforcement doesn't locate and charge a person or persons fairly quickly, that we could see copycats all over the country, perhaps even all over the world.
The other part of this is that she's 84, but her mind is the same as it's always been. So whatever is happening to her or happened to her, she had a full, she understood what was happening. And that part is scary to me. That part is really scary, because physically, that's where the limitations are. So whatever happens to her, she's understanding what's happening, but there's nothing that she can do. Do we have the video? Okay, so yes. Savannah Guthrie on Instagram posting this video just moments ago. Let's take a look.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny, spunky, and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
Nancy Guthrie, still missing. If you have any information, please reach out. Please. Big thank you to Josh Schiffer, Meg Strickler, Daryl Cohen. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, something else you need to know tonight.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board and Melody. We're talking about Melody Buzzard's belongings being removed from her home. Her mother obviously charged with the murder of her child, little Melody Buzzard. Let's take a listen to Crystal Bermudez from Scripps News Group with the latest.
Here in Vandenberg Village, flowers and candles remain outside the home nearly 2 months since Melody Buzzard's body was discovered in Utah. Her items were carried out in 2 vehicles, with her bike left behind. A judge on Monday confirmed one of Melody's half-sisters is in charge of what happens next. I'm your community reporter, Crystal Bermudez, and I've been following this case since the 9-year-old's disappearance was announced. I attended the latest court hearing and looked into what the ruling means next. In court Monday morning, the judge ruled that Destiny Contreras, Melody's maternal half-sister, is now responsible for all arrangements related to Melody's remains. Services for Melody are scheduled for later this month at a Santa Maria church. In a statement, Contreras' attorney said the family agreed that Melody's services will not be publicized and asked that the family's privacy be respected. Later in the day, I went back to the Buzzard home in Vandenberg Village, where family friends were seen removing items belonging to Melody. They did not want to speak with me. According to the real estate agency that oversees the property, Buzzard, through her attorney, issued a 30-day notice to vacate about a month ago. And Monday was the final day for those items to be removed. One neighbor who first spoke with me back in October out of concern happened to stop by at the same time.
It's overwhelming. It's very emotional. The family appears to be here moving out. Melody's things, they're screaming in the background. Just driving by is horrific. It's awful. My heart goes out to the family.
In the related criminal case against Ashley Buzzard, attorneys are scheduled to return to court on February 9th for a procedural hearing as evidence and filings continue to be examined. I'll be in the courtroom bringing you those latest developments. As far as the home, a family member tells me that Ashley Buzzard did tell a family friend to remove the items inside of the home. In Vandenberg Village, Crystal Bermudez, KSBY News.
Okay, folks, we have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is 15-year-old Jelaya Evans, missing from Ellenwood, Georgia, since January 29th. So please take a close look at this picture. This is why we do it every night. If you see Jelaya, please help. Pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference tonight. You can by calling 911 or by calling 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Clayton County Police Department. That phone number's up on your screen right now. Please pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. Let's see if we can get Jelaya to a safe place tonight. All right, don't go anywhere, folks. We have another hour of live true crime coming up. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.
There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.